I don't fucking understand the world. I just watched, courtesy of Exposing the Truth, a group on Facebook, which, although I do find can be kind of naive and sort of, baseline assumptions on conspiracy theories and stuff like that, they did release a video from the original eviction of Occupy Wall Street back on November 15th, 2011. And it was leaked by some anonymous hacktivists, most likely anonymous. Anyways, it was hacked by them, and it basically just shows it's 60 hours of video. It's like 16 minutes, like a clip, sort of different parts of the video, different parts of the night, throughout the night, and it's just showing the NYPD as they honestly they're tearing lines apart of people who are just sitting there, saying, what's going on, or they grab their backpacks, they grab their belongings, or there's one scene, or not a scene, it's real life, so it's not really a scene, but one scene in the context of the video, which was filmed, and this was all ironically filmed by archivists and NYPD officers who were trying to document the event for the sake of the department. Sadly, thank God it got out. And sometimes I'll get to the next part where I'm going with this at the end. But anyways, basically there's this doctor who is inside a medical tent, and he is sitting there, and they keep telling him, why don't you come out? Why don't you come out? And he says, you can't really hear what he's saying. And he says, well, why don't you come out for a moment, and then you can go back inside. Come on, doctor. And he knows where this is going. Obviously, he's not going to be let back inside. And he's like, come on, doctor, come on, doctor. And then the doctor keeps saying something, I can't hear what you're saying. How about a few feet closer, doctor? And it's just so fucked up. Like, what a fucking frat boy police officer. Fuck him. Fuck the whole fucking NYPD. Sure, they might do some good things, but it's only in the guise of what they actually control. These things are truly, there's some greater force, because, although there's this illusion that all of us can really stand up and do something about the system, and all those who influence the system and the world as it is today, we actually stand up to get to that point collectively, and all of a sudden we hit the vein and the system realizes, shit, we actually have a problem. We can't just let these people do what they want to do, otherwise our entire influence is going to collapse like a house of fucking cards. So as soon as they get wind of this, there's countrywide, continent-wide, collective efforts on the parts of the FBI, the CIA, the NYPD, who, all the different information gathering organizations, all the different police stations, all the different police departments throughout the continent, and they all collectively come to this huge, it's like this grand strategy for knocking out the collective protests which are trying to make the world a better place. And it's all in the interests of these larger groups, corporations mainly. And I mean, this has been said 100 million times before, to the point that, people stating things like this is almost a cliche, and people go, what the fuck, and you know what, my response to things like this, first face value, is the exact same response, because I say, no way, no way humans could actually do that to each other. That's fucking absurd. Why would anybody ever do that to somebody else? Why would nobody want to repair the world? It's obvious it's in a shit place. But you do more research and you realize, these people actually are doing absurdly evil things to each other. These huge corporations, absurdly evil things are being committed by them. The NYPD, absurdly evil, fascist things, despite what you may have implanted in your mind as an idea of an ideal and good police officer. Chances are, your police station, your police department does incredibly evil things on a daily basis, and maybe they have this completely different mindset. I mean, the whole fact of a police department is this fucked up, condescension. I'm better than you, I know better than you, you're gonna have to follow these rules, and if you don't, well, they get it implanted in their head that they know how to do it and you do not. And if you do not listen to them, they are in a place that is higher than you, and therefore they get this fucking plow of a, they just feel like they're plowing. They have the right to do these things without any without ever actually coming to an agreement with the people who they are actually dealing with, whether it's criminals, drug dealers, or it's Occupy Wall Street protesters, or it's any other form of activism, or it's, law has just created this whole entire construct of this grand condescension. We all agree to this, and we all agree that these people being essentially better than you, and they can do, this to you, this to you, and this to you, and please do not complain. And although there are some things in practice that say the people have more power, well, they say not in practice, in theory they say that people have more power. In practice, it's honestly, the police officers are always going to have more power. There are situations where, police officers are surrounded and honestly, like, forced into a corner, like the whole Rodney King case, or hopefully the case in Spain right now where like hundreds of thousands of protesters surround the Special Forces Operations Division of this of the Madrid Police Department, these riot police, and they're totally just fucking outnumbered by these protesters, and it's a really beautiful sight. But anyways, as I was stating earlier, I feel like maybe even the NYPD doesn't mind that this kind of video of the eviction of Occupy Wall Street November 15th, 2011 is like a problem to them. I think they could have even leaked it themselves as like a, kind of goading us on in a sense, saying, you know what, this is what happens. This is honestly what happens when you try to deal with the things that, with the powers that be. This is like, you want to try it again? We'll do the same fucking thing. You want to do it again? We'll do it anywhere. We'll get you anywhere. There's no place you can win. No place you can hide. It's sort of like, yesterday I was talking to a coworker of mine. He is a complete conspiracy theorist. Very interesting guy. I'm not sure where I stand on everything he has to say. But he has this idea that the whole JFK assassination, for example, they left just enough evidence to say, you know what, like, look, there actually is more to this than, like the conspiracy theorists are right in a sense. There's more to this than meets the eye, but they leave just enough evidence to make sure you're aware that there is a greater power that is behind democracy and behind, every single form of power we think we retain as people, just to remind us every once in a while that we're not in control, and it's to give us and instill within us this feeling of hopelessness. And it's the same deal with 9/11, he says. It's the same deal with Occupy Wall Street. And I'm really starting to see that. I'm starting to see that everywhere. Everything comes down to this weird, and it's so weird because my humanistic common sense cannot believe any of this at first sight. And no wonder there's so much opposition to, like some of the main lines of the Occupy Wall Street argument, and the same, main lines of conspiracy theories and stuff like this, right? Or even just alternate history theories, whatever you want to call them, to be politically correct. But you can see why, because like these things are saying, you know what, there is actual like evil things going on here. There's really fucked up things that are totally against, what we consider to be, common sense to the human heart and soul. And it actually does happen. And the first impression is like, no way, man, like you're fucking retarded. Nobody would ever do that to anybody. Like, why would anybody act like that to anybody else ever, right? You know what, like if you ever wonder why, if you ever look at things and you realize, you think, no way, there's got to be some, like, kinder side to this. There's got to be some, like, actual greater good side to this. I mean, the NYPD, the whole power be that knocked out Occupy Wall Street must have seen there was something for the greater good inside that. You can look back on history like Nazi Germany. That's the most recent example, the most recent blatant example. And thank God that happened in that context, because that will remind us of the evil that men are capable of on a daily basis, and an evil that men are capable of instilling within entire societies of people. And thank God our society is more awake and occupying, whatever they need to occupy, occupying Wall Street, occupying Vancouver, occupying San Jose, Denver. Who cares? Like, or just the Arab Spring movement, right? Like, thank God we're more enlightened than that, because we have, like, the general population has learned from the lessons of history, and we have to fucking wake the fuck up and get out of our fucking hidey holes believing that everything is in the interest of some real greater good. Because although I would love to believe that myself, it's not fucking true.